Guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. The New Orleans Parish Jail has been under a lot of scrutiny in the past few months. We all noticed we've been covering stories about the 10 escaped inmates, where 9 of them have been brought back into custody over the past few months. Now, more information has come out where 2 inmates have mistakenly been released, and their crimes are nothing short than horrifying. I want to show you this video. They fired, it says up here, multiple deputies and suspended other deputies for the inmates' mistaken release. This is a story about 2 gentlemen, and you guys take a look at it. I'm not going to come back with commentary because, honestly, you know my view on this. Crimes against children and crazy stuff, they need to be out of here. So what I say don't matter. Take a look at the story. I'll leave it to you guys in the comment section. Check it out.
Khalil Bryan was released from jail by mistake Friday. There may have been at least 3 hours from the time jail staff realized the mistake to the time the public found out. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson. It's a new and really concerning bit of the timeline that we've been working to piece together of that day. Rachel Hanley joining us now in studio. Rachel, that even raises really even more questions here.
Yeah, it does. A local nonprofit tells us that it bailed out the man who was supposed to be released on Friday. When a representative called the jail late that morning, she says they told her he wasn't out because someone had been released in his place. She wants to know why it then took hours for the man whose freedom had already been paid for to get out himself. Montreal Carmouche is a senior advisor at Operation Restoration. Through a program called the Safety and Freedom Fund, the organization has paid bail for thousands of people arrested on nonviolent crimes. Thursday evening, they paid $2,000 to release a young man who was arrested earlier this month. She expected him to get out later that night. But when she called him the next morning, he didn't pick up.
We reached out to his mom. His mom said that he wasn't out yet, and that's why he wasn't answering us.
Carmouche says that was around 9:30 Friday morning. She checked his file online, and it said he had been released. Then his mom called Carmouche back to say she had spoken with her son on the phone from inside the jail. At around 12:30, Carmouche went to the OJC herself.
I spoke with someone at the jail to find out why he had not been released yet, and at that time is when I learned that they had released the wrong person.
The NOPD told us it found out at about 3 that afternoon. 20 minutes later, they told us. Sheriff Susan Hudson called it human error. Khalil Bryan and the man who was supposed to be released have similar names.
While our systems are designed to catch these discrepancies, human error led to a breakdown in the verification process.
While all of this was happening, while the mistake was being realized, the press conference was being called, people were getting alerts on their phone, the man who was supposed to get out of jail was still sitting in it. Carmouche says that man was released Friday evening around 5:30 or 6. She believes this points to bigger issues within the jail, which she feels aren't getting enough attention.
My concern is always are the individuals that are in there because they can't afford to pay, and because we fundraise the money to get folks out of jail that can't afford to, it just feels very counterproductive to go and post a bond for someone and they're still not released from jail until 21 hours later.
Now he is home, and Khalil Bryan, who's facing a long list of charges, including for violent crimes, is still on the run. We reached out to the sheriff's office asking about the timeline of the release. They responded, as they have since Friday, saying that the incident is still under investigation.
Just in case if you haven't been keeping track of all the problems that we've been talking about at the jail, let's walk you through it. Back in May, 10 inmates made a dash for freedom. Then we have the accidental release this past Sunday that David just talked about. And then today we learned another inmate accused of sexually abusing a 13-year-old girl also walked out of the New Orleans jail. The district attorney's office calls this another accidental release, while the sheriff's office says that is false. Rachel Hanley joining me now in studio. She has been looking into this incident that happened back in December. Rachel, why are we just now hearing about this?
Because there was a letter that the district attorney sent to the sheriff. That was back in April, and it essentially told her to do a better job of keeping inmate records straight so that this wouldn't happen again. That letter was first brought to our attention when our partners at NOLA.com published parts of it this morning. We were able to obtain it too, and I've also been talking with the sheriff's office today. Here's what both sides had to say. The trial is supposed to start within months, and the charges are serious. 32-year-old David Jones was arrested in 2018. An NOPD detective wrote in his arrest papers that a woman contacted the police about her 13-year-old daughter who had run away a few days prior. She said she saw a video of her daughter on social media having sex with an adult man while 5 others looked on and chanted. The girl later told the detective the man had forced her to stay in a hotel, have sex with himself and multiple other men, and say she was 18, and when she didn't, she says he beat her. Police arrested Jones a month later. The affidavit doesn't say why they believe he was that man. Over the next 6 years, he was in and out of jail, racking up more charges along the way, including for alleged domestic abuse. On May 28th of last year, his online court file shows his bond was revoked. On December 2nd, the district attorney's office tells us he left the jail anyway. It wasn't until he walked into the courthouse for a hearing almost 4 months later that the DA's office says it realized he had been gone. It filed another order for him to be taken to jail, and he was booked April 14th. We obtained a letter the DA sent to Sheriff Susan Hudson that month. It called Jones's release a grave error. It added, quote, "I hope you will take this opportunity to review your policies and procedures to ensure that nothing like this occurs again." The sheriff's office told us that, quote, "Any suggestion that Mr. Jones was mistakenly released is factually incorrect." It said when he was out during that time, he had bonded out and was fitted with an ankle monitor. We followed up and asked why he was able to bond out after his bond was revoked May 28th. A representative told us, quote, "We are working to clarify it." As of today, records show Jones is still in the Orleans Justice Center. Now, again, that arrest was in 2018, and so today we were also looking into why it may have taken so long for Jones to be brought to trial. There's no one single explanation. Scrolling through his online court file, there's delay after delay. He changed lawyers multiple times, he bonded out, then was brought back into custody multiple times, he got charged for other crimes inside the jail, and there was even a hearing pushed back a month and a half because Hurricane Ida had forced the courthouse to close.
Oh, this is interesting to hear about, Rachel, and shocking again for us to hear about it for the first time right now in 2025. Thank you so much for that update.
Just into the newsroom, 2 OPSO deputies have been fired, 5 deputies suspended, and a new timeline publicized from the sheriff's office about the mistaken release of Khalil Bryan on July 25th.
WDSU investigator Aubrey Killian live in studio breaking down every part of that timeline and what the sheriff's office says went wrong here. Aubrey.
Hey, Gina, so a lot went wrong here, and we're getting a lot of new details. So OPSO just released the details. They say on July 6th, Ryan was mistakenly released due to a breach in protocols. Let's get straight to this timeline. 1:17 a.m. We're told he was mistakenly released from 1B housing unit. Then 5 a.m. a count does take place. 7 a.m. roll call happens. 11:10 a.m. OPSO records show in conjunction with their partners they realize that error. 11:36 a.m. OPSO begins the investigation to locate him. 12:45 p.m. OPSO begins informing criminal justice stakeholders and the victim. 3:45 p.m. the public is notified. So you might be wondering, why did it take until 3:45 p.m.? Well, before issuing a public notification, OPSO says their first step was to begin the apprehension efforts at addresses to avoid startling Bryan and jeopardizing the search. I did just reach out to OPSO and ask directly, when did the sheriff find out that this happened? We are still waiting, but Solo, we're going to stay on top of this, and Gina, I'll keep you posted all throughout the show.
Yeah, some new revelations there. Thank you so much, Aubrey, for that. So we're combing through this timeline for you. You can see the full timeline and an exclusive interview with the man Khalil Bryan was mistaken with on our website, WDSU.com. The National Transportation Safety Board